and I can edit it out. Anyway, so, okay. Yeah, Deanne, if you don't mind telling us, that would be awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deanne. I live in Sandy, Utah. I've been to these before, and I really love being enriched by the information. So I'm just really trying to obtain more tools to better my life and to work through, some things. For the most part, I'm pretty good, but you can never learn too much, right? So
Yes.
I just love this group, and I happened up on it one night, and I think I reached out to you, Sherry, and I was like, hey, can I join your fireside or your
Yeah,
discussion?
the group, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just super happy to be here, and
Good.
I've really enjoyed the page and getting to know people, and yeah, I just love it.
And I love all your comments. It's so fun to have you there. So Peggy, I have a question before we go on to we're going to actually meet Tim next. If that's okay, Tim, introduce yourself. I'm curious if there was if there's some kind of an order of healing or recovery, or like Deanne is saying, wanting to have this just better ourselves and better our lives and create this better life for ourselves. Would you say that it should start with, or could start with, the trauma recovery piece? Like that could be even more important than, I always think it's self-image, but I wonder if we can't even get to self-image if we have this trauma that's in our way.
Oh,
Peggy?
absolutely. The trauma is informing everything. What is underpinning all of your actions and all of the things that are happening in your life, that can be cleared and shifted and changed through the work that I do. And going through, like, there's what I like to call conscious work and unconscious work. The work I do both, because I'm a coach, but I also do the guided meditation, which not all coaches do, of course. I've been doing it for 16 years. You can do a lot of the self-image stuff. You can do a lot of trying to take care of your stuff I do it this way, like from the head down, I'm like, but if the body has got a different idea that's unconscious that you don't know, it's like you have two opposing prayers. Like they're opposing each other. One is that I'm great, I'm good enough, I have confidence. The other is I'm a terrible person, or I'm not good enough, or I have to worry about my life. I can't ever be perfect, or whatever that is.
Wow.
So really, you can do it just from the top down, but it takes a lot longer.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was curious.
It's harder, and it's just a long, it's a longer process. This process is much, much quicker because it gets right to the core.
Yeah, that's so good. I was just curious about that. It just occurred to me that maybe this is maybe the first step in our journeys, or could be, like you said, we can have different routes to get there for sure.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tim, you'd like to introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll start streaming. We haven't started streaming yet, but we wanted to get to know who is in the call. And
well, hello, I'm Tim, and I've been through a few of Sherry's wonderful meetings, and I'm here to encourage others to do the same thing and learn from what these experienced people have to say.
Awesome. Yeah, Peggy, she's definitely experienced it. That's so good. So, and that is us for now. I am going to now stream it, if you guys are all good with that. And so what I mentioned before is we'd ask you guys to turn off your cameras and your mics, unless you have a question. That way it will just put Peggy on the screen. It allows her to be the spotlight. And because she's going to be presenting. Oh, I need to make you a hostess too, Peggy, so that you can share your screen.
So I can share.
So I'll do that before actually, I want to make you co-host so that I can still have if I need to do anything. Okay. And because I'd wonder if I made you host, if it wouldn't allow me to stream. I was thinking that. Let's see. Hopefully this is going to work.
Hopefully this does. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and why I am, oh, it's not going to let me, what?
Hold on, it might be because I'm trying to stream. It could be that I just haven't got it to stream quite yet. I'm thinking that might be the case because it's trying to do two different things. And let me introduce you first, Peggy, before you jump in real quick, if that's okay. To the people that we're streaming to, because we've talked a little bit already on the on the call, but I want to introduce you to them as well. So just quickly, this is Peggy Witbeck. Witbeck Matheson. I have I've known her for at least a year. We need to figure that out because I actually kind of wonder if it's 2 years. But we are both supportive to singles, and well, Peggy is more of a coach for really anyone, singles and married couples. She's a, what do you call it? She's an author, but it's a best-selling author, right? She's a best-selling author. And she is a podcaster. She does a podcast with Sharon Collier. They're both relationship coaches and dating coaches. And
relationship coach, technically. I'm a betrayal trauma recovery coach and a life coach.
Yes, betrayal trauma specialty. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. And their podcast is called Date to Your Potential. It's awesome. I know I need to like listen to more of those. I'm not really loving that dating business. So we'll work on that because you're the one.
So much more in there than just about dating. It's really about being in relationships and looking at your stuff.
True, because you're not going to have a desire to date unless you can work through some of your self-image stuff, I think, first, and trauma. That's what we're talking about tonight. And this is something that I've learned from Peggy is that, so when I first wrote the description of this call, I said, if trauma is getting in your way of allowing you to live a balanced life, then you should come to listen to this. But what I learned from Peggy is that all of us have some form of trauma from our past. And whether we're aware of it or not, that is what is getting in our way of allowing us to live this balanced life and to be have the freedom that we want to have and all of the good stuff that we're working for. It has a lot to do with the trauma that's in our way. So am I right about that? Is that what you would say?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not always trauma that's getting in our way. Sometimes it's something that you think doesn't, it's just when we have those crystallizing moments in the past, often in our childhood or in other relationships, it gets stuck in the body and we need to work through that.
Yes. Yeah.
So we need to process through that. And sometimes beliefs, we take on a story about ourselves and we keep telling it over and over again. We don't realize it. And it informs all of the things that happen and come into our lives. So
this is good. So I would also, before I get started, I wanted to just tell quickly she'll teach. She teaches these meditation courses, these support groups she has them separated, men and women. So if you're interested in doing that, we can tell you more about this kind of stuff that she does with groups, support groups. And it is all working through this kind of trauma. But I would love for you to first, before we even dive in, you may have this on your agenda, I don't know, but I think that it would be good to define what is trauma, because we say that a lot. We maybe say it too much. There's different levels of trauma, right? Betrayal trauma for sure is a specific type of trauma that some people have not experienced. And then there's just different, even childhood trauma there's so many different levels. Anyway, so if you don't mind starting with that, and then I'll just dive into everything. We'll have questions as we come along, I'm sure.
Yeah, and raise your hand as I talk until we start meditation. If you want to ask some questions as we go along, I'm really happy to answer those. So there's a big T trauma and little T trauma. Okay, big T trauma is like you've been in a car accident or there's been a natural disaster. You saw someone who was killed, or you saw your mother beat up, or you have ongoing trauma from an abusive relationship. Those are like big T traumas. There's little T traumas. Like a child when they're 4, they get lost in the grocery store for 5 minutes, and they have this, their body kind of freezes, and they have this moment where they feel like, I'm abandoned, I'm not loved. They don't know this consciously, but this is what's implanted in their psyche, in their body. And the mom comes back in 5 minutes, and the store owner and everybody's going, oh my gosh, I love you, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. But that never gets processed. They don't have the language to understand and to talk about it. So that can actually set you up, and that can be a little T trauma. That can set you up for the years down the road, where you bring to you those experiences that validate that message inside your body and your psyche, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not loved, that I'm abandoned, or
Mom
whatever.
doesn't love me. Yes.
So
Yeah.
when you hear people talk about whatever's showing up in your life, that's based on what what you really believe. And you're thinking, but that's not what I really believe. But there's something that's going on. There's a whole psyche inside of you that you are not aware of, that's running the programming of your life. So being aware by looking at yourself and going, wow, this is showing up in my life. This is I don't like this. I don't want this. What can I do to change this? So, and that's where I come in.
Good. Okay. And we brought up before we even started on the call, the point that clearing up these parts of us, or these trauma parts that you've mentioned, it could be more important than anything else. Starting off with our healing journey, it all comes to play. You can do whatever. It's not really a step-by-step process, but if you do clear out the trauma, it does make all the other steps easier. The building your self-image and the personal, the pursuit of excellence, all of that. You're not going to want to pursue excellence if you don't love yourself. And if you don't clear out your trauma, you're not going to love yourself or see yourself as valuable. So trauma, we were just saying that clearing up that trauma might be the most important step. So
well, you want to open up the space inside you. The work I do is cellular healing. Actually, the memories that we have get stuck in the cells, and this opens the cells up. It clears things out, changes it in a beautiful, graceful, profoundly spiritual often way, not as spiritual as in religion at all, but just connects with the spirit so powerfully. That it really opens up the space for something new to be created, which is so awesome.
yes.
Because then we get to say, oh, wow, I get to live life in this moment, present, joyful, ready to open into what's next for me.
Yeah.
Open slate. So
I'm going to want to take notes. I'm getting my notebook because I
would. Yeah. If you want to take notes, that's great. Definitely when we do the meditation, I want you to have a piece of paper and a pen, because I'm going to have to do some journaling afterwards or towards the end of the meditation. And you know what, Sherry, I have a new MacBook Pro, and I apologize, but it is not connecting to Zoom, my presentation. So I'm going to I'm just going to be going by my presentation, but I'm sorry, you're not going to see it.
Oh, that's okay. You know what? Maybe you can just share it later if you'd like. If you think if it's important for us to see certain slides, we can just add that to the edited version, recorded version.
I don't know that you really need to see.
Okay.
It's fun. But so this is recentering yourself. And the thing that this time of year can bring up a lot of triggers for people, whether you're married or single. There's just high expectations, and there's a lot to do with families together and that kind of connection, those special times. And sometimes we can get off balance. Sometimes, we get thrown. Maybe there's experiences that keep coming up. I mean, maybe this is the anniversary of your divorce. Or maybe it's an anniversary of losing a parent or something like that, or the anniversary of a really bad Christmas, So it can be challenging. So when we talk about recentering yourself, we're talking about getting back in balance so that doesn't run your life, that stress. So you can find some space to breathe and feel more relaxed during the holiday season. And I mean, that's a very gentle way of approaching this, but this work that we're going to talk about today is powerful. It's, you know, and that stress is one thing that's going to leave. So you're going to tap, and the work that I do, you kind of tap into the deeper part of you, that part that's already healed and whole. So we're trying to create clarity out of chaos, trying to create centeredness, peace. And so when we come into the world, we are like a beautiful, bright, shining diamond. And then just like that little boy I was talking about, that 4-year-old or little girl in the grocery store that gets lost, mud gets slung on that beautiful, bright, shining diamond. And so this work that I'm going to talk to you about today takes the mud off so you can shine bright. Now, a little bit of my story. I was married for 34 years, been divorced now for 4. I was very much into healing, did a lot in creative arts as well. That's where my book comes from. I have a book called She Said, which is based on my poetry. That's also got coloring pages that I've drawn to go with each poem. And it's about this kind of the story of my healing. In a fun, very playful way, because when I got rid of this mud that was slung on me about 16 years ago, when I found this work, oh my gosh, joy and creativity just started pouring out of me. I really feel like it was my lifeline during my during a marriage where I realized at the end of it, I was in a system of control and power over, and was keeping me from actually really doing what I needed to do and wanted to do in this world. So, which is why I found it. I mean, I went and I found this work because I knew about therapy, and I'd been to therapy so much, and I just knew it was a slow boat to China. And I had a girlfriend who in her 30s, and she'd been sick for about 10 years, and she was in a wheelchair for 4 of those years. And this was the process. I call it a process, this guided meditation. It's actually called The Journey. There's actually a name for this particular type of guided meditation called The Journey. And I am a journey practitioner. She was a friend of mine, and this was the process that got her out of the wheelchair. This work got her out of the wheelchair after 4 years of being in the wheelchair, and nobody could figure out why. How to help her, what was going on with her health and all of that. And so it was powerful. And for me, I needed to know it was connecting to my spiritual beliefs. And it did, because there can be today you won't experience the full process. So I'm teaching about the full process because we don't have enough time today, but we will be setting up groups, one for men, one for women. Through Sherry, that and the group work is powerful too, that you can join and get an introduction to the full process work. But so it's like I had a client a few years ago that did energy healing work. I don't know if any of you know about energy healing. Yeah. So she was simply healed, and it was kind of like, and I asked her, I said, what's the difference between the work that I do with you and the work you do? And she said, well, the work that I do, it's kind of like there's a tree and there's fruit on the tree, and the work that she does, you take one fruit and you pull it off here, and you take another fruit and you pull it off there, and you just kind of piecemeal. She says, the work that you do, it's like you go down below the surface into the roots, and you unravel it at the root, and the fruit falls off and new fruit starts to appear.
Awesome. So, I'm ready.
I'm ready. It's super organic. And very graceful. So back 16 years ago, when I found this work, I was trying to heal, trying to become my best self, had chronic self-doubt, and just didn't feel good enough about myself, even though on the outside it looked like I was real confident and I had it all together. I was struggling, and I had this, my deepest pain at the time was I felt like I watched other people connect and love and give love and receive love. And I just felt like I was out of the loop. There was a wall between me and the people I loved, and I couldn't communicate to them the love I had for them, and I couldn't receive it. was very painful for me at the time. I had three young kids. And after the second time, I went to 2 intensives, 2 weekend retreats. And after the second time, that wall started to move.
Mm.
And I could see around it. I could feel around it. And I could just a whole new possibility of who I could be, the more truth of who I am. And there was so much joy and so much peace to do that. And so, like I said, I ended up starting to create all this poetry, and then ended up writing a book and publishing it last year. And it's just been joyful. And then I started a podcast this year. Sherry was talking about that with Sharon Collier, called Date to Your Potential. And it's been just a delight to share with people the things
So
that we
fun to listen to.
Yeah, and we have a lot of fun. We do have a lot of fun. So I'm going to share a little bit with you in just a minute about why this meditation works. And then I'm going to take you through one. Does anyone have any questions up to this point? Hi, welcome, Andrea. Andrea got here. Okay, yay. Anybody, any questions? Okay. I'm actually looking at a different screen, so.
Oh, okay.
So to read this, I want to share with you some of the testimonials of the people that I've worked with. And I've had a lot. I've worked with people who have anxiety. I've worked with children, people who are transitioning like from job to job, people who are struggling with financial things, wanting to make more money, people struggling in relationships. And I focused on relationships for this, the testimonials on relationships for this one, because that's what a lot of us on here are dealing with, is how do we draw to us the relationship that we want, right? How do we find that? How do we become the person we want to be in those relationships? So here's from Crystal, who is from Utah. I had been creating the same pattern in my relationships that kept me efforting to a degree, and that's kind of working hard, trying to make it happen. Efforting to a degree, leaving me feeling very empty and unfulfilled. Who can relate to that, right? After working with Peggy, I had huge realizations of myself, which resulted in huge shifts in my relationships. I finally had clarity and peace instead of fear. In turn, I attracted a romantic relationship shortly thereafter, where we both worked together to create a loving and fulfilling relationship, the greatest I've ever had. And that she actually had been divorced a couple of times, and so that was really cool. All right, and this is from LJ from Colorado. She says, I've been working with Coach Peggy since the end of my long-term marriage. I have found that talk therapy is validating and useful, but Coach Peggy and her guided meditation has brought me to a new place of joyfulness and hope. Her services are invaluable and everyone can benefit from them, no matter the circumstances. She even did a few sessions with my daughter who was struggling due to her parents' divorce. She helps me go into the core issue, address it, and let it go, freeing me to feel lighter, happier, and more joyful. It has given me a new sense of hope, where before I only thought I would have a life of brokenness and despair. If you want to heal fast and not carry around trauma for the rest of your life, let Coach Peggy help you. You won't regret it. So, yeah.
Wow. Testimony.
And then I just got a very long testimonial from another client, a recent client, and I'm just going to summarize because it's too long, but he came to me having had a crush on a woman he dated off and on for like a year. And he said, I know she's not the right person for me, but I can't let her go. I'm so struggling and there's stuff from the past and all this stuff. And I think we did 3, maybe 4 sessions. And then I found out he was in a relationship he could never actually get that relationship going. He had completely left that relationship behind, is in a new relationship, and is now very committed and working towards a long-term relationship with this girl. And it happened very shortly after we finished working which was
That's good.
super cool.
Wow.
So let me tell you about the power of visualization. Now I know, let's see. Raise your hand if you've done any kind of meditation. About that. Raise your hand if you've done any kind of meditation, or if you kind of think you know what it is, or you don't. You guys, do you know the raise your hand thing? There's the emoji, there's the reactions.
Down on the bottom, yeah. There was one I noticed. I didn't see who it came from, but there was one hand raising.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I see that, Andrea. Okay, so this is a little different than, like, you'll go to YouTube and you'll get meditations there. This is a little different. It's not just like walking you through a visualization, although visualization is a part of it. But it is so beautiful and it's so gracefully put together. This particular guided meditation. Now, I had a friend years ago that I worked with who was a hypnotherapist. And I said, what's the difference between the journey work that we do and the hypnotherapy? And she said, really, it's very much the same, except that a hypnotherapist has an agenda for you.
Mm.
This work is client-led. I don't have an agenda for you. This comes from inside of you. We are tapping into your record and your body and your power and your healing and your wholeness and your divinity. This part of you that's healed and whole, this is the higher self. This process taps into that. So, and it's just really, really self-affirming to know that you have what you need inside of you to live the life you so want to live. And if you're feeling stuck and like you're not there yet, then let's work together.
Yeah.
So why restorative guided meditation? Okay, so there's 4 components, and I've talked about one, that's the tapping into the higher self, which is super powerful. And the other one is relaxation. And this is for all, the tapping into the higher self is usually what you may not find in just the regular stuff you see on YouTube or whatever. But also the way this is put together is not like that either. So relaxation, when you relax the whole body, there are different brain waves that we have. There's alpha, which is the conscious mind brainwave. There's beta, alpha, theta, and then delta. Delta is a dream state. So there's beta is the top, the conscious mind where we're at now. Alpha is a little bit more relaxed, and then theta, and then delta. Now, this process gets you relaxed to the point where you get to the lower alpha, upper theta state, which is like the dream state, not the deep sleep like the delta. And that is where you change things. That is where you have the power to change those things that are stopping you in your life, or the beliefs about yourself, or the pain that you have. This is where we tap into that through the relaxation. The visualization, we speak in the language of the non-conscious mind. Now, it's not just visualization. The language of the non-conscious mind is the 5 senses. So, and we're going to do a little bit of that work today as we do our meditation. So it's the 3 most prominent are visual, auditory, the sound, and kinesthetic, which is feeling, touch, but feeling, because we're tapping into the emotions in the body. But we can also use taste and smell. That's not as common. Most people will work with one of those top 3, right? And then it's also, this work is based in what I call true principles, that we are divine beings, that we come into this world, like I said, like a beautiful, bright, shining diamond, but we are divine beings. And we tap into that potential, but also the powerful process of letting go, which for me is forgiveness and letting go. And that's the letting go. And there's all kinds of tools that I can use when we do the meditation to help you remove, let go, get to a place of forgiveness. Some people say, oh, there's been such horrible abuse. It's like, how do you get past that? I'm telling you, you can.
Mhm.
And it might take a while. It might take several processes. It might take many. It might take a while, but usually it doesn't take a while. Most of my clients, if they're not in an abusive relationship right now, we can do this work and shift things pretty fast within, six processes often.
Wow.
So what's that?
It's amazing. And I think it's just like what your friend was describing, that it's tapping into those areas that are in the way. Like it's not just like you said, one at a time, but it's kind of just replacing what is in the way.
Yes.
Letting
So
it go.
those are the components that really, really help in the work that we do and the work that I do. And so do anybody have any questions before we're going to dive into the meditation here pretty quick?
Okay. I will turn off the stream when you're ready to dive in. So that we can keep it private. And so anyone who is listening from the streamed version, if you want to jump in on our call, you can. I think I put the link on, I did put the link in the event, but I don't know if I put it in this. Let me just look real quick and I can probably just drop it in right here. Yep. Okay, there you go. If you want to jump in on our call, you can.
And go ahead, sorry.
Oh, that's all. I just was going to say, I just dropped the link in there so you can jump in if you want.
Okay. And I would love to see your faces while we do this meditation. If you guys are okay turning on your cameras.
Okay.
And if you can make sure you are in a quiet place where you won't be interrupted, turn off your phones, maybe even shut them off. Well, maybe you can't because you're on Zoom on your phone.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
And sit with your back supported. Like I'm on a ball, so but if I were receiving a process, I would be sitting in a chair with a back. So kind of feel centered and grounded with your feet on the ground or supported on a couch or whatever. Get yourself in a comfortable position. And if you have to hold your phone, that's probably okay because it's not going to be a very long meditation. I just kind of want to give you a little taste of what this is like. But
I think that's smart.
What's that?
I think that's smart because then you won't get distracted for just a few minutes, right?
Yeah, I just want you to get really comfortable. Probably keep your body language open. So none of this. Open hands, but comfortably, back supported. And just, take a minute here to start to turn inward. Start to focus inside. And if it feels comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes or you can look down. Both of those things will work. And I want you to start noticing your breathing. And you might be feeling some emotions or sensations in your body. Just welcome all of that in. This is a very welcoming process. We welcome everything in. We are not our thoughts. We are not our feelings. And so we're going to refocus on the breath. If you have thoughts and emotions, just refocus on the breath. And I'm going to do a little breathing with you. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Let it out through your mouth. Take another deep breath in. Allowing yourself to let it go. And just keep that nice Easy, slow breath, allowing yourself as you let out the breath to relax your jaw, relax your belly, just softening the body. Good. And now just notice the sounds that you hear. Maybe it's the heating, maybe the dishwasher's on, or it could just be your own breath. And just get really present in the space you're in. And know that with every breath you take and every sound you hear, including the sound of my voice, it's helping you to relax more and more now. Good. And now I want you to imagine that you're at the beach. And so we're just going to pretend you're there. And if the beach is really not a happy place for you, then imagine you're in a forest or a field of soft grass. But for the purpose of this process, I'm going to take you to the beach. And I want you to notice and look around at the colors that you see. Look at the sun and notice the blue ocean and the color of the sand. Maybe it's bright white or maybe it's tan. And then feel the warmth of the breeze. And feel what it feels like to be in this space. And feel your feet on the sand. Is it warm? Soft? And just be curious. And then listen for the sounds. Maybe there's children playing in the distance or seagulls. Yes. And it's interesting how you can almost taste the salt, the salty air, or smell that fresh ocean breeze. Beautiful. And now just start walking down the beach. And just notice if there's any sticks or seaweed or bigger rocks. And what's it feel like as you walk down the beach? And just notice how relaxed you feel and how open this is opening you. And then I want you just to notice that there's someone walking towards you quite a ways away. You may not quite see who it is at first. I mean, you can't see their face. But just notice that they're walking towards you. And notice the connection you feel with them already. And as they get closer, Just be curious. Maybe you know who this is. Or maybe it's someone imagined that's here for you today. This could be a guide or a mentor. It could be someone you know or have known. But it's someone you trust completely. And then as they get closer to you, they have a message for you. I want you to feel that, or maybe you're going to hear that from them. But I want you to just take a moment and receive that message. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have or want to have. I'm going to give you just a minute to have this interaction with them. And then when you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath in. And you can open your eyes and just write on the page anything, any insight, any wisdom, any information that was brought to you today from this experience, from this guide, from this communication, and just let it fall on the page. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, I'll give you one more minute. Okay, so just wrap it up. I hate to interrupt because there's so much going on. It's so cool.
I love it. That's the thing. We don't always take time to write things down, do we?
Right. Super powerful. Journaling, just so powerful. Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Fantastic. You guys did great. Would anybody like to share anything, either what they wrote or what that was like? Surprises, anything? Love to hear how this was for you. Just do popcorn style. Anybody who wants can speak up.
I like it popcorn style. Good. I could share a little. Mine is probably a little too personal. I usually am open to sharing personal things, but this might feel a little too personal.
You don't have to give us detail, but just kind of.
Yeah, I'll just share what I feel comfortable with. The person that I imagined is my father, who passed away. Someone who I really in his life, I never really felt connected with him until just the last year of his life. He lived with me, and so he's kind of forced to to connect with me. But that was special. It was writing down some of the thoughts that I had from him is very enlightening, and I think it's just the beginning of healing some of the stuff questions I'm wanting answered right now and stuff. So
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Great. Anyone else?
I will.
Okay.
So through this experience, I mean, I felt belonging, and I felt safe, and I felt loved, and I felt cherished. And I knew the person, it's someone that I know.
Mm.
And it was interesting to me that these things came to me during that experience because this is someone I know. And so it was
Unexpected?
yes, a little bit. Yeah.
Very common. Very
Mhm.
common. Oftentimes I'll have clients that'll say, I didn't expect that. It's like, yeah, that's because you tapped into the deeper part of you that the conscious mind doesn't know, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, beautiful. Did you want to share more of that, Deanne?
You know, yeah, I would actually. A lot of my life, I never felt safe. And it's just been like the last 3 years that as I've learned to love myself and as I've gone through some certain things that I finally am feeling safe, and I'm actually inviting people into my space that help me feel safe, that contribute to a safe space is a good way to put it, creating that safe space. And so when I saw this person in this experience, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, because this person isn't a toxic person, so that was very surprising to me because history way back, it was all about toxicity. So it was a very beautiful experience for me.
Great. So happy. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Great. All right. Anybody else? Janice, Nathan, Andrea?
Yeah, mine was kind of another level of a confirmation. I tend to get messages like a bunch in a row of the same thing for like a couple weeks till it gets in there. But I know, Peggy, you and I have had the same experience of being married to someone who had the education, had the knowledge of how to have a good relationship, but chose not to do that with us. And that just has been coming up with, as you try to go forward and date, it's like, why would someone else choose me if this person didn't? And so as I was walking on the beach, for me, it was Christ. It was my higher power that came and just reminded me one more time of this message that if I'm trusting in him, I can have a connection with someone else and it won't be that codependent need connection. And like my brain knows that, but it was kind of like another level speaking to my heart on the beach there in the listening to the waves. And so I'm getting it. I'm trying.
Awesome. Love it. Great. Thank you. Janice, you don't have to, but if you want to share or if Nathan wants to share, I'd love to hear from you guys if you want to.
I'll be happy to. At first I was thinking about, I kind of wanted it to be Nathan that was coming towards me. And then as I've just been so, well, I'll get emotional. And I know it's probably the dumbest thing, but seriously, this math class that I just have passed, okay? And in a good, better, and best, right now I've got the better grade than I expected because I had the mindset when I started that C equals degree. That's all I had. And I did better than that. And I've had my husband help me and he's had to spend a lot of time. But when I was, and this is the class, this is the class that's kept me from getting a degree for 34 years. It's the one class that's why I didn't ever go and get a degree, because of math. And so as I was thinking about it and as I was trying to relax because I have been so stressed, and as I was thinking of the Savior, and he just came to me and said, stop being so hard on yourself. And you're doing better than you've ever thought you were. And I'm proud of you, and just forgive yourself and just be happy now. You can move forward. And that's the feelings that I had. And I had puppy on me.
Wow. First of all, congratulations. You finished the class?
Yes. If I want to take the fourth exam that will help get rid of a score that I don't like as much, I can do that. But I'm almost ready to let go.
Gosh. I have two more exams to do in that class, Michael. I'll think of you though, your hope. You can
do it. We can do it, Sherry. We were made to do good things.
Yes. And no, too bad we have to have math to get there sometimes, right?
I know. And I never want to hear the quantitative reasoning process again.
Yes, that's awesome.
That's
Thank you.
Guys, this is beautiful. I mean, this was maybe all of 10 minutes, maybe. And look what you tapped into. Imagine where you can go and what you can clear and what you can do and how you can fly if you were to invest a little more time and a little more, just a little more investment to be able to clear whatever it is. And sometimes we don't know what it is. Oftentimes, so many times, I go into a process, we start processing a client and they're like, I don't know. And it becomes this incredibly powerful, which you all had today, something very moving for you.
So what, Peggy, when they ask you this, when you do this with the group, is it similar to what you've done with us tonight? Then it's
Yes.
90 minutes and it's just a little bit different.
It's going to be 90 minutes. The process isn't 90 minutes. We'll have time to check in. I like to check in, and a check-in looks like, you know, what you're feeling today, like maybe 2 feelings, and just depending on how many people we've got, we might do a little bit more of that. And then we do a checkout at the end. So it's kind of like a check where you start and where you end. And then I almost always will do journaling, because sometimes that is the most powerful part, is that journaling. But when we do the journaling in the group, it's from your future self. That's
Oh,
already healed and already whole, already been there, already done that. So it's super powerful. Yeah, but we do it in a group like this. So I take you all, and we have time during the longer one, the hour and a half, where I can ask you each questions specific to your specific process, but it's still pretty private, because it's not like you're sharing everything with everyone. It's really what's going on inside of you. So and when I do it groups, I've decided it's really important to separate men and women. I just feel like women are going to feel more comfortable just being with women, and I think men with women. So yeah, any other questions about this? You guys did so
Oh,
well. I
good.
loved it.
So yeah, well, so how do you, we haven't planned the details about how we will get the word out. Do you guys want us to send you an email, just in case you're interested in hearing and doing more with Peggy? We can do an email, or we can do it through the the Facebook group. But you all know how to reach her as well. You could reach out to her. She's starting these groups in January, is what you're saying? You're starting that, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to start doing groups. It's going to be a 6-week process, because I have learned that through working with clients that we do 6 processes, and then it's thorough. It really gets to the core. It's like each time it's core, but about the 3rd or 4th or 5th process, it's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, this is, and then 5th and 6th, we pick up the pieces. So yeah, it's a 6 weeks starting in January, and it's an hour and a half. I'll be doing it on Wednesday nights.
That's good. So they can just reach out to one of us if they want to know more about it. That's a good way to do it, probably.
Yeah, that's great.
Good.
Any questions, y'all?
Peggy, that's awesome. I love that you gave us a little taste of that. That was really cool. And I'm actually thinking, let's just do another, like a 90-minute one. Let's do that tomorrow. Well, anytime you get for, I'd love to do it.
Wanted to do a 90-minute one. I could do it tomorrow, or I could do it Wednesday night, but we'd have
Oh,
to.
real? I was just joking, but we could do that if you guys want to set it up. But Peggy, I would want to charge people that come to it. I would want to pay you for your time to do it.
We would charge for that, and it could give you a taste of what it was like, what it is like,
Yeah.
what the whole thing is like. And I mean, yeah, we could do
Okay.
that.
Well, I'll set something up, and then just for anyone that wants to get more of a taste than 15 minutes, we can do that. Because yeah, like you said, 15 minutes is incredible. I can't imagine 90 minutes would be so fun. So we'll do
Okay.
that.
All right.
Yeah, well, thanks you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
So Peggy, we're the only ones left. I wanted to just say thank you. That was incredible.
Do you want to stop the recording?
Yes, I will. I will.